Here we go.
Do you want to start us off? We're going into 16, aren't we?
We're going into 16. And restart. So, Virtual 11 was our 17th most favourite album. Let's be positive. It's not our least favourite.
It's not most
This
favourite.
happens to be our 17th most favourite Iron Maiden record. Christopher,
Okay.
your 16th favourite Maiden.
So, apologetically, I am officially putting Blaze to the sword with the X Factor at number 16.
I reluctantly have to put X
You say
Factor
reluctantly,
16.
you chose to put it there.
Now, it hurts me to do this because I know how much you love this
I
record.
do like the X Factor.
And
So, yeah. So
I'm
X
still-
Factor for you, X Factor for
Yeah.
you. I like the way you just want to get straight down.
yeah, sorry.
I don't want to talk about it.
I'm looking. I'm just having to ignore any notes.
I'm just double checking this is correct.
I'm gonna be very upset.
It's not correct.
I was gonna say.
Rewind. That can go back.
I hope so.
Another reason we chose Maiden was not long ago they've released a new record.
I know what's coming.
Yes,
I've only just realised what's
Yeah,
coming.
can you remember? They've released a new album,
Yes.
Senjutsu.
You haven't even got an example, have you?
I've been bought it recently by the boys. I haven't got. It's in a slightly plusher, bigger box.
I
than
believe
the
it's
new
I
one.
believe it's the Galactus a media book they call it.
Nice, very cool. It matches my Book of Souls one on my shelf,
Yes,
which
yes,
I'm well
nice,
happy about.
Nice, yeah.
But Senjutsu is my 16th
Okay.
favourite record.
Okay.
Not into it, boys, at the moment.
Okay, we move
So,
on.
So by rules,
You've had quite a long time to listen to it as well now.
and
so-
I have revisited.
Yeah.
This one will cause some controversy at number 15.
Oh no.
Number 15, Chris.
Oh, God.
Dance of Death.
Dance
Oh,
of Death.
oh, oh! Now, you see, at one point,
You
another
see.
record sat in this place.
Did it?
And then only very recently, you advised me to give Dance of Death one more
I've
go.
killed it, haven't I?
And you destroyed it. It was the death throes for Dance of Death for me.
We'll get
Like,
into
I
this.
didn't
We'll get
wanna-
into this.
We got the opening trio together all at the bottom.
Not
I
me.
didn't want to change it. But you know, you mentioned the other day, you get that sort of like butterflies in your stomach feeling that you feel like you do need to go with your gut on this one. And you feel like Chris has got them locked in, you've got them locked in, and I'm thinking, this is naughty. But you did tell me to listen to Dance of Death.
I did.
So
I thought it would help. Clearly, it's hindered.
it really hindered it. It really hindered it.
Dance of Death
Wow.
from 2003. In at 15 for you.
Yeah.
So my 15 is No Prayer for the Dying.
Oh, no, this
Okay.
hurts me.
No Prayer, which I know you've had a particular journey
on
on.
a journey.
So-
Okay, so no agreement on 15
We'll
then.
discuss that in a little while.
Turn of the 90s, No Prayer. You've agreed quite a few already.
So
Three.
number
I'm hanging in
14
there.
now.
14.
Number 14 for me, it's No Prayer for the
It's No
Dying.
Prayer.
Oh, no! This is just outrageous. Hooks in you, hooks in me.
Okay, but not for you yet, which I love, by the way, because it's a great album.
It
No
is
Prayer.
again. We're talking. That's your 14th or 15th favourite.
Yeah, that's right.
You know,
Yeah.
We're on to my lucky 13 then for me. And it was under.
No, I haven't seen
Oh,
14.
sorry.
I don't
Oh,
think.
Yeah, we're waiting.
Sorry.
So
14.
your 14 was No Prayer.
Yeah.
Your 14 was
Senjutsu.
Senjutsu,
Okay.
the Nui.
The new album, Senjutsu.
My 14th is the Book of Souls,
Oh.
which I know again you went
Again,
on a
I've had
journey.
another journey
Book
with.
of Souls for me 14.
Yeah.
Smithy, for our viewers, just go into the fact of 17 albums, but not really a bad one.
Yes, this is the problem
Can you go
that we're
into that?
finding. Each time Maiden release another album, it's gold.
It's an event.
It's fire, basically.
It's
And-
an event as
Put
well.
it down.
So it is an event. This is the thing, and it's getting to the point now that obviously I appreciated Maiden later in my life compared to you dudes. Like you've basically grown up with Maiden,
Yeah.
but I started
For
at a
sure.
point where they released No Prayer for the Dying, which hindered Maiden for many years for me.
Oh, yeah.
And it wasn't until Brave New World in 2000 that I might have pricked up a little bit of an ear.
Okay.
So yeah, each time Maiden release an album, there's massive fanfare.
For sure.
And obviously Senjutsu is the newest album.
Yeah.
So I bought into all the fanfare, you bought into the fanfare. I saw your media version, digital whatever you called it a minute ago.
A media book.
And I went out the next day and bought it. And then I had it in my collection because it was sick.
You need it, yeah.
And then you had no real inclination to
No, not initially.
buy it.
No.
But you are a completist, so would have bought it.
Regardless.
And then, nicely for you, your boys in Yotnar treated you to the album for your birthday. I have thoroughly enjoyed delving into that album. But we'll move on to something else.
It just highlights the fact that important band to us, and it is an event every time they release. And we will stress that
there's no bad album.
there's no bad.
We love them
There's
all.
no shit record.
Yeah.
There's
Their worst albums are 7 out of 10. You know, like you're talking
strong, but I like
strong.
your
You
positivity.
see what I mean? Maybe a little bit strong,
Yeah.
like 7. I mean, if I look virtual 11 again,
Probably a 6.
probably about 6. But
But that's
6
not
is
bad.
still. I want to own that album.
For sure. Okay, I haven't been noting yours down, which is a bit naughty, because it might complicate things later.
Oh, yeah.
But it's all good. So that was 14, Book of Souls. We're flying through some of the earlier or later rankings, but we'll soon start delving into these albums as they get
Yeah, we will.
to each of our
I
highest.
just realised 13 is going to upset.
Unlucky
me.
for
So
some,
13 for me is the Book of Souls.
is the Book of Souls. So we're not, in none of these, we're only a couple of placings.
Away from
I'll let
From
you
each
release
other.
your 13 because I think you're going to be quite upset with mine.
Well, my 13,
Understandably.
which I think is a fair assessment of this record, is the X Factor.
Oh, it's a discussion point, you should
But
Signed
by Blaze Bailey.
by the big man at the Underworld.
And I'd just like to put a little thing on this. I've realised I've got some signs by Blaze Bailey stuff
Oh.
I've got to dig out of the loft. It's
Who
some
wouldn't?
fold up best of that
Well,
goes
me,
into a
apparently.
3-2 thing.
When I met Blaze, I was super excited and nervous because I'm a fanboy. He was a bit rude. But not rude, like, you've got to put it into context. He's sitting in essentially a pub in Camden, the Underworld, you know, and he's probably done a few shows, and he's got twerps like me coming up to him going, "Oh, I fucking love the X Factor. It means so much to me."
Yeah.
And he's going, "Yeah, whatever. Where do I sign?
And I
I'm
guess
tired. I haven't been fed. I'm getting paid £20 for this show."
Yeah.
You know.
and you're going on about Maiden.
And you're going on about Maiden. Yeah.
You ain't signing my
Yeah.
latest album.
No.
You want to stick it in my face that,
Yeah.
you want this one signed. Is it for a joke?
I hadn't even thought
Yeah.
about that.
Oh, and by the way,
Blaze.
and by the way, your set must be 90% of this record, or I'll be disappointed.
I reckon if you got up to him and asked him to sign a Wolfbane album, he'd be less pissed.
Yeah. I didn't think of that at the time.
No.
Maybe a bit of, I would say that Blaze Bailey has a couple of belting solo efforts as well. I would say better than some of his Maiden output. One for another time, maybe.
So we just hit on the X Factor as a now discussion
13.
point album.
So as per the rules, just explain it's reached its highest point.
Yes.
Now we delve in.
So this is 1995 to
Yes.
1997, the X Factor
Look
period.
at it.
Lead off singles. What can you say? Man on the Edge.
Oh,
You want a decent, cracking single to launch your album. Great. And then they release Lord of the Flies as the second single.
Which is great, I
Solid.
think.
And this still has the hangover from Bruce days. So we get some actual B-sides that are not on the album. Judgment Day, Justice of the Peace, and some covers. My Generation by The Who, and Doctor Doctor by UFO.
Doctor.
So
Which
it's
they come out to, that
don't
every
they?
few years now,
Yeah.
haven't they? Yeah.
So it's just interesting that we're not looking at loads of nostalgia at the moment for everything that's gone in the past. Strong single,
Okay.
some covers, some B-sides. At this point, it still feels very familiar as Maiden in
Okay.
terms of the machine and what you get when you have a Maiden release. At this point, forget Blaze and all of that. It's strong singles, fun B-sides and bits and pieces.
Yeah.
You know, X Factor, everything still feels really Maiden, like massively at this point.
Like it.
And
And
is that partly because you still got Martin Birch?
No, he hasn't.
He's gone.
Or has he gone
This
at
is a
this
Steve
point?
Harris and Nigel Green, as
Yeah.
was
Wow.
Virtual 11. So they've stuck with the same team for both of these Blaze fronted
I always
efforts.
told myself that he.
So
was this.
we're in.
Is it just because it sounded so much better than Virtual?
It does sound better. And
Yeah.
there's an album you mentioned, Dance to Death, that I've been playing a lot recently as well, and it comes straight on the back of Brave New World. And I find, as much as Virtual 11 and X Factor sound sonically so different, I think this one a lot better than the other. Same with sometimes albums that come in a bit of a pairing. They just don't sound as good each other sonically.
No.
I'll come to it later.
Yeah, I
It's
see
a
what
bit
you're
of a
going
They
weird, it's a
try
bit
to
of a weird
distance
one.
himself, do you think,
Or
from
just
the
change-
previous album?
I don't know,
too
or just
much.
change it up too much. Whereas,
Yeah.
I don't know. This,
Only
we'll
Harry,
go
though.
into it, it's really murky sounding, very sort of grungy. I don't mean like musically, but grungy as in it's just got that sort of
There's definitely an
grungy,
attempt,
darker
like you said,
feel.
with what was going on in the metal world around the time of Virtual 11, you take it back to this. There is a sense of trying to capture that murky, grungy sort of production.
We're 95, so the our sense
Awesome.
of...
See, we've heard it everywhere for the last sort of nearly 7 years,
Yeah.
right? And the production on that Pacific Northwest style of music that was a bit murky, it was a bit grungier. You know, all of that. It's not totally prevalent in that, but the fact that you've made the references, it's like he's trying to tap into that sort of sound, but it doesn't fit Maiden. He doesn't quite know how to do it, and as you said, the arsehole's dropped out of it already, and grunge's sort of been passed over at this point.
We're in new metal territory
Yeah.
now, aren't we?
Harris is hanging on to the skid marks and the smoke, trying to work out if he can jump on it. It just didn't happen. So, yeah, production-wise, again, there is a bit of an issue here, but not as big.
It's interesting you've talked sounds and artists at the time. I still bang on about this. I feel that if they just tried a couple of tricks from the movement music, the movement of musical scenes at the time, I think you've got a hell of a little record here sonically as well. You've got Korn's first albums only a year prior to this, some other stuff you've mentioned. They just took some of that sonically and fattened this up. It's a dark sounding record, but the guitars are super thin. If they were a bit fatter, had some of that production of the time, I think it would really raise
Which
some
could have
of
been
these.
suggested with a producer who might have come in with some different ideas, but it's the same old thing. Harris and Martin Birch have done 45 gazillion albums together. They've obviously got a very strong working relationship, each knowing what the other wants and happy where Maiden goes. Steve Harris walks away from that and doesn't get somebody else in to go, well, let's try this. He just goes at it with what he knows and tries a little something we suspect, and it just misfires, don't come together.
Doesn't work. Should we go through some songs?
Oh yes, please.
Starts with like an 8-minute. I think it's 8-minute, Sign of the Cross.
Great
Again,
track, though.
harking back to where we felt Virtual 11 had some 2 or 3
Your
Stone Cold
Clans,
classic
yeah,
Maiden
yeah.
songs.
This is definitely one of them.
I feel there's a couple on here. Sign of the Cross being one, Lord of the Flies being another.
Second single.
Lead off single, Man on the Edge. Itching into Maiden classic territory.
Oh,
Yeah.
I feel,
it's up there for me.
you know,
I love
and
it.
then you get to the sort of the rest of the record, quite murky. For me, there's some Stone Cold belters
I'm
in there.
completely behind things like Blood on the World's Hands.
What's some
like
of your
that.
faves, Smithy? From
Well,
this?
you've said a few of them, but one that you've missed out is Look for the Truth. Big fan of Look for the Truth.
Yeah,
There is an absolute stinker on this album, The Unbeliever.
go on.
I
Yeah,
cannot stand the structure of the song.
okay.
And he delves, at points I find an X Factor, and it might be why I like the album. He sounds a bit like Danzig in places.
Yeah, definitely.
There's this sort of crooning sound.
Definitely.
And I like that. And I think, when you've got
You could have used that a bit more.
when you've got The Unbeliever, I kind of wanted more
Yeah.
of that.
Because he finds a little place for his voice in Maiden where he hasn't got to be the air raid siren or the sneerer like
Yeah.
piano. He could be something like you say, almost croony, Danzig-y baritone that slices through. Doesn't have to sit on the top like Bruce or punch it in the gut like Di'Anno. He could have sat somewhere in the middle, especially with different production. And that lovely, like you said, that smooth sort of baritone croon he has is great. He really has got a strong voice when he uses that.
Yeah.
Which he uses to effect if you watch some of the live footage of the era. I think you and I or someone else have joked about this, that when they sent him out on tour, it was like, just sing what we want, not if you can handle Bruce's voice. Don't care if you can handle it, do it.
Fucking asking him to sing Hello Be Thy Name and stuff every night for 30 nights.
It's horrific, isn't it?
But then they pick some songs
He
like
give it a go, though. That's why you got to respect him.
Heaven Can Wait. Heaven Can Wait suited him pretty well.
Yeah.
But when he gets to the choruses, whereas Bruce is smooth when the notes hit on that,
effortless.
Blaze, when you watch the live footage, really is just like dun dun dun. Bruce soars between them and basically it's very mechanical. It's very I've got to get this right.
Pitch.
And it's such a shame because when his voice is used in the right place on so many of the tracks on these albums, that's why you get him in. Different singer, great singer, and obviously all the bollocks frontman. But it's like Harris couldn't resist pushing that voice to places he wanted it to be in Maiden. But it wasn't quite the place where it was natural. Where it was natural for Blaze to take his voice. He grew as a singer and as a composer and everything else. But Harris can still hear echoes, you would imagine, of Bruce's voice here. So he wants the Blaze to get up there, but he ain't got it.
Poor Blaze, man.
Got him in and said, your best voice is that bit, that crooning bit. Just build songs around that.
Yeah.
Setting him out like you could sing a bunch of absolute classic. Absolute classic Bruce Dickinson songs that he's been like gone down as being like the greatest frontman of all time for performing them. You could do it, Blaze.
Yeah.
He wasn't set up to achieve, was he? Bless him. And I think like when I talked about the production and maybe taking a few, they missed a trick on sonically. I think they missed a trick on a couple of things you boys mentioned, which were specifically tailoring to Blaze's style and
ability,
vocal range.
Yeah.
And I think, again, I don't want to turn... We've got some technicals.
Technical issue.
I don't want to turn Iron Maiden into a new metal band of the time.
Get Ross Robinson in.
But I do think they missed a trick by down-tuning half a step, you know, to help Blaze out. And I just think they missed a trick, and they might have rushed into that gung-ho, Maiden still going attitude, rather than maybe taking a couple of years to rehearse the fuck, get really comfortable with each other, try different things, find something whereby Blaze really in the mould. Oh, that's controversial.
No, that's my thought process.
Is that your take?
Is that if they had done, because it only ended up being 2 albums, and then Bruce ended up coming back.
Exactly.
So, like, for me, if the Blaze era, almost like Sabbath were unofficially heaven and hell.
Sure.
I feel that Iron Maiden could have monopolised on that a little bit more.
Right.
But what they did was they went with, what was it, album number 10 and album number 11.
Yeah.
The names of the albums in some capacity.
Pretty much, yeah.
They tried to continue on.
It's Harris's again. It comes down to Harris's his control, freakness.
Because he knows what he wanted Maiden to be. He knows what Maiden's become, which is exactly what he wanted it to be. He knows how the albums are going to sound for his style of playing, his style of writing, the band, etc., etc., etc. And so if no one else walks in, Blaze isn't going to walk in and go, I've got this fucking great idea. We're going to detune a notch. We're going to make it sound fresh and original. That's what I want to do. Oh, yeah, right. Thanks, Blaze. On your bike, mate.
Yeah.
But what
make us a cup of tea.
Another producer or someone around him would have done would have said, right, Steve, you have to change Maiden to be relevant, or you park Maiden and it's early British Lion if you start with playing differently.
Yeah,
right?
of course.
But no one's going to say that to Steve Harris, so you're quite right. It's supposed to be Maiden, but it's not all the tools to make Maiden. And so it doesn't sound one or the other. It's not fresh and new, it's not proper classic Maiden.
No.
Fits between both, but doesn't fit either of the moulds properly.
Hinders both.
And it's because Harris is running the Maiden gauntlet straight down the pipes. But he ain't got the Smiths, ain't your Dickens, ain't your Martin Birches to make it work.
Sure.
And that's its great misfire, is Harris. The great driver, the man who steers it through these 4 years of shit, is probably more responsible for the 4 years of shit because he either couldn't step back, walk away, or take his hands off it.
It's a bold statement.
Horrible, horrible
I love
paradox. Horrible.
It is because he's
But
the
I believe
most
that.
motivated and the hardest working.
I believe
and
it.
he's got that drive. It can also crush it along the way.
Tunnel vision.
Yeah.
Tunnel vision. There was nothing outside it. You can hear it in the songs, in the production, the decisions, the live shows. We've just debated it. Why give Blaze all that Bruce Dickinson stuff to do if you've still not got 1 foot stuck in the past, which we discussed as a main point around Virtual 11. It brings me to an interesting tiny sidebar. Little one.
Christmas fact.
So, with Bailey joining Harris as the producer, you'd think that the jettisoning of the old Maiden would have gone. And you
Here he is again.
I forgot to put it on silent.
It's classic.
Cut. Oh no, it was on silent. It's just
Well, no, you better
play
not
it
put
out,
it on
so we'll
silent.
just-
You've got 2 kids, so it's fine.
Fine.
I would just point out this is real life here.
Yeah, this
You know
is
what I
real
mean?
life.
Things do happen.
We're not fucking about here. You know,
We're
editing
squeezing
shit.
this
and
in.
To be fair,
this is our lives.
there's a dog coming out for a piss in a minute, and
Fine.
if you open the door, it's happening.
That's
So anyway,
fine.
back to the side point. Bailey joins, Harris is the producer, so you think they're moving on. It's a whole new world for Maiden that we've just said they kind of just tripped over and didn't see.
Mm-hmm.
But at the same time, shortly after this, is the Virus single.
Oh,
A standalone, tasty little
I'm
track.
looking at it.
Doesn't get mentioned.
Just grab
Yeah,
that.
go and grab a freshly minted poster bag version of Virus. So this single is a non-album, and what's interesting about it is across its primary formats were the songs from the Soundhouse tapes and the Metal for Mothers compilations.
Yeah.
So Diano era. So it's even worse now, in my little opinion.
Oh,
We're not just
I've only just realised that.
We're not just holding on to Bruce and what Maiden is. We're pissed at Bruce. So we've gone back to Diano and we're officially releasing the Soundhouse tapes on this 12-inch CD single. I can't help but think he so can't let go of Maiden. It just ties into this terrible conspiracy theory
Look
that
at
he
that.
bodged everything. Look at them. Look at them handsome
And that's
men.
an iconic lineup for me because
Blaze has still got them burners, isn't he?
still got the burners.
Legendary.
We're in the mid-90s.
But this is the point. They've got Diano B-sides. And he would
amazing.
never have done that with Bruce. He even got Bruce, when we get to Seventh Son, to re-record Prowler and Charlotte the Harlot.
Charlotte the
So
Harlot.
for me,
He's naughty, isn't
this
he?
all ties in to the Harris. You were the saviour for the shit years. You were the cause of the shit years, potentially.
Ooh.
And
You'd make a film out
paradox.
of it, couldn't you?
Good.
Imagine that. Who plays Steve Harris?
Keanu Reeves.
I thought
Oh,
Keanu
that's
straight
a-
away.
That's a good goal, you know.
Keanu Reeves is Steve
I
Harris.
don't know that he's like chirpy enough for Harris. Though Harris is quite happy-go-lucky
Yeah,
sort of
quite
guy.
positive.
Keanu's very
a dark soul,
straight
isn't he?
down the
Bless
line.
him.
Some Essexy boy. A de-aged Ray Winston with a, with a wig on.
Virus,
Yeah.
where they give side A to Blaze,
Yeah.
and then they give side B to Diano, who's
Fuck
not
you.
been in the band for how
And
many
if you
years?
look between those
16.
listings on there, you can see 2 fingers to Bruce Dickinson. It's all there, boys. You just got to look deep. All these conspiracy theories about Maiden's bleak years are all here.
I'm sold.
Don't get me wrong, I feel disgusting saying any of this because of the love and respect I have for Harris. But we are here to dissect,
We are.
to offer opinions, no matter how insane they are. You know what happens with these podcasts? There's a little comments box sometimes. There'll be people underneath just saying to me I should be literally tied to the front of Ed Force One and dropped from 50,000 feet for having a pop at Harris. We're not. It's just crazy talk about why
I'd be
things
happy if
could
there
have
was
happened.
one comment.
No one knows.
But you're accurate. We're not going to sugarcoat it. They're some of our favourite
Yeah.
artists.
We've
and we're
wreen
gonna,
it down.
We're going to call them
There's
out.
over 100 years worth
We mean our
of Maiden
words.
love, passion, and information in this room. So whatever we say, it's fucking gospel.
Totally. And we're going to call out our heroes on some of their shit along
Yeah.
the way. It's going to
Of course.
happen. Not just with Maiden, with most artists.
Oh God, yes.
So we've kind of done the Blaze era, I'm sorry to say.
We
Really
have
covered.
done the Blaze era.
I'd like to go into more depth, but it might be one on my own. in a little corner somewhere
No,
talking to
I think-
myself.
I think
Just
it's an
don't know what else to
important
add.
period of Maiden. I think it's an important piece of Maiden.
For sure.
And one of the most important reasons, in a horrible, horrible way, is it highlights how amazing Maiden are either side of it, with these slightly
is
different
true.
lineups and
Yeah.
everything else. You've still got 3 core members and 1 now extremely long-serving member in
Yeah.
this lineup with Blaze, and they can't put the train on the track straight and shoot it. And they did previously
Nice.
to that. And it's not meant to denigrate this era, because if you saw them live, you got your money's worth.
Yeah.
Out, you came fully satisfied. Fucking great. You got your T-shirt. You would still love to see Blaze. And as a front man, he's still the bollocks. Even
Yeah.
though
Do you know,
massive and all the
secretly, if I could choose any T-shirt, it would be an original X Factor
Oh,
tour
nice.
shirt. Simply because I actually, can you get the artwork?
Yeah, for sure.
I actually don't mind the X Factor artwork. Because
It's quite brutal and
it's
quite
a bit-
extreme.
but
for
it
the-
reminds
for
me of the claymation that they used to do.
Like Tool did for their promo videos,
Yeah, exactly,
particularly.
exactly. But not even like that, like Jason and the Argonauts
Oh,
and
yeah.
stuff like that.
Harryhausen stuff.
And it looks to me quite horrific.
It's quite nasty.
It is
yeah.
quite nasty. And where Virtual 11 looks like a really crap computer game gone wrong, that you just don't know what it's about, this just has that Maiden look. Almost got like, they almost went with it with the Wicker Man single. Like, if you
Yeah,
go back in
yeah.
the insert there, the
This
CD
guy.
itself
Yeah.
and the big X.
Hold it
Yeah.
up there for our...
You've got a strange little Eddie getting electrocuted, but it's almost like
Not bad
not
artwork for me.
plasticine done, but it's of a certain. I don't know how they've done it. Like it's sort of modelling, isn't it?
It is. Yeah, it's like clay
They've
modelling or
modelled
something.
Eddie.
Again, though,
Quite extreme.
it's the,
It is
it's, the,
extreme.
it's the final break of tradition, isn't it, again, from Riggs. And we'll get onto this
Yeah.
later. And when
The
we get to
media changes
Fear
like
of the
that.
Dark is that switching point, and then this
Oh.
is not just moving on in
Oh,
terms of
dear.
Eddie's look and Eddie's... The whole sort of visual aesthetic of Eddie, whether it was drawn by Riggs or 1 or 2 others up to Fear of the Dark, you still have the same feel in terms of just the character and colours, and it's a bit more cartoony, or however you want to put it. It's hand-drawn. You know, it's very organic. But when we get to this straight away, that couldn't be more removed from anything up to Fear of the Dark. It's
Yeah.
another big break with it all, yet it's still Eddie. And you're kind of making references to other Eddie points, meaning it's still not a total clean break.
Sure.
You know, dare I say it, should they have changed the logo?
It is. We could go on forever.
I
It
know,
could really.
It
Like,
is-
this proves how good this album actually is.
It's
but
a
it has to
stretch
sit
logo.
somewhere.
Yeah.
I've noticed some of them, the Maiden is stretched as opposed to some of the classic art.
You see,
It's
I
like
don't
they've
like
gone in on paint
I
and
hadn't
stretched
noticed
it,
that,
and
yeah.
it looks a bit fucked.
Yeah.
being a bit OCD. I didn't notice that, and I don't like the stretch, but I still think it looks great.
A good cover.
A good cover.
It's a strong album in places, really weird time of
Once
their,
again,
of their
probably
history.
4 absolute, good classic Maiden songs that could go into a set or on a best of. We've mentioned a few of them already. Yeah, it's there. Again, it's not a bad album, but
It's
Blaze,
got to come somewhere.
yeah, Blaze is just.
So what was his
unfortunately,
highest ranking? Where did
Its
you
highest
give it?
ranking was 13,
13.
which ain't that high. But top 12,
13's not bad out of 17 though.
there's a
Again.
lot worse than that record, I think, in their arsenal, for sure.
So just to review at this point, we've currently been through Virtual 11
Yeah,
An
and
X Factor.
X Factor.